Hi, Peter. This is Brooke Birmingham with Module 8. I have a few different concepts I'm going to talk about today, and I actually could have talked about any of them for each of the questions. So I kind of had to pick which one I wanted to talk about for each question. So the first one was using the CIPP model to evaluate a curriculum program and if it would outlast a change in leadership. I'm going to go through the four things quickly. And by giving you in advance, though, my answer to the last one for a different reason, I think, than the CIPP outcome, I think. So, PBIS is what I would like to talk about. My school division has taken it on as a mandatory practice. It will outlast a change in leadership only because it's coming from higher up than our leadership. I can't say that it would outlast a change in leadership at the upper levels of my school division, but within school to school, it does outlast because every school is also participating in it. With that being said, the context of PBIS is that there was increased behaviors in school. Everyone sees that as a little bit different. Teachers wanted a solution to handling behaviors. PBIS is research based. It comes with a lot of research. It's a different way, I think, than traditional ways of looking at discipline and changing behavior. The goal for schools and the program was to have consistent feedback to students, consistent reactions to events, consistent expectations of children and teachers, and the way we behave in a school, to have consistent expectations across the school board, but more importantly within the school setting. So the input that came with that is that I would say PBIS is a more gentle way of handling things than in the past, than the way things would have been done. It aligns with the way of thinking for my school board. They are looking at alternate ways of working with students who need help with behavior. The design is clear. It is low cost because there is actually not a program you need to purchase. It is just a way of approaching things. The rollout for us is done over time. It is a multi-year process, and we are in year 4, I would say, of this rollout across our school division. The process is a little bit, the implementation was mandatory. Tier 1 first, so this is based on multi-tiered system of support. Tier 1 is for 80% of the population. Tier 2 and Tier 3 move up into that other 20% that are not reacting the way that we need them to the Tier 1 PBIS support. So rollout was Tier 1 across the board. There is no real guidance. The process is not recorded. No one keeps track of what they do. So there is a little bit of leeway and a lot of unknowns amongst that process. The product is, the way that we evaluate this is someone from head office comes to the school and will randomly quiz students and teachers on if they understand what PBIS is, what the expectations of your school are. So at mine, it is safe, kind, and respectful, and we repeat that over and over and over again. We are safe, we are kind, we are respectful. So students should be able to answer that when the person comes in. If you pass this random evaluation, you then get to move on to being a Tier 2 school, where you can start doing Tier 2 PBIS expectations and start working with smaller groups of students for that Tier 2 and Tier 3 support. We do have behavior data tracking as well, which is done through, it's done online, and you report anytime there was a behavior reported, and it is how we dealt with it, what the issue was, who was involved, was it teacher handled or office handled. It is self-reported by teachers, so I think the biggest discrepancy there is that each one of us finds behavior acceptance different. So for me, what I find to be rough play outside, someone else might see as fighting, and I might see it as a necessary activity to be doing outside, harmless, if you will, as long as everyone involved is volunteering to be involved, and it is obviously not aggressive. Again, that term is used a lot for things that might not be aggressive. But anyways, I digress. What other teachers just get really nervous about any kind of physical contact, and so they report a lot. So I think the reporting system is not consistent either. There is little to no reflection on what the results are. So if we were based solely on one person in our school running that, it would not last over leadership. However, the reason it's lasting is because we have to keep at it. We have to keep doing it, even though it is missing some of the pieces from CIPP. Question number 2 was over-reliance on a single leader. I have something very specific for this, and it was very fragile, and it did leave as soon as my previous administrator left. So they were called learner profiles, and it was a spreadsheet, and there were columns for each student, and in there you would write any learning factors they may have based on their medical needs, things at home, what language they spoke at home, anything holding them back, any factors that may be affecting their learning. And then it had across the board throughout the year multiple spots where we would do formative assessment and put in where every student was at, so that you could see which students are green, yellow, or red, being very at risk, and you could see it across the entire school, and it was open for everyone, and we could all see where everyone was. It was great. The problem was it was created and handled by one person who, in my opinion, had kind of a gatekeeping mentality around it. It was very complicated formulas in Excel spreadsheets. None of us knew how to do that. We just knew how to put in the formula, put in the data, and even then, if there was a formula that didn't work, she would have to go in and fix it. It was a locked document. We couldn't edit anything except those blocks where you could only put down specific things. And then as soon as she left, we lost learner profiles. They were all gone. Teachers did not like them initially when we were advised to start doing them, and then over the couple years that she was there, we all came to love them and rely on them. And then as soon as she left, they just fell apart because none of us even knew how to we couldn't, first of all, access the back end to even know what to do to learn it, and none of us knew how to recreate it in our own version. So we lost learner profiles, and over the last couple years, we've had way less data on our student population and where they're at. So that was a tricky one to lose, and I have no idea. And to be honest, it was her passion. It is not my passion to learn Excel and how to do that. So that was her passion, and she was very good at it, but it did leave when she left. Okay, looking back at my definition of curriculum. So the things that have affected me the most throughout this course and adjusted my concept of curriculum and my definition of curriculum is around collaboration and distributed leadership. Distributed leadership, I always thought that, yes, I can get behind that. I believe in distributed leadership, and a leader gives out different things, responsibilities for other people. What I know now is that distributed leadership goes much deeper than that, and collaboration goes much deeper than just that surface level collaboration light. It needs to be reciprocal. It needs to be trusted, and the trust piece also really has stuck with me. So originally, I just saw curriculum as a collection of knowledge to be shared with students, and in a way that was obviously creative and innovative and engaging for students. But I did see it as just a collection of data, a collection of information that had to be delivered. So now I see it more. I have culture written here, which is a hard way to explain it, but I see curriculum as more of a culture. It's a living entity, and it is fluid, and we always need to be talking about it and reflecting on it and feeling it. Discussing lasting change and resistance to change has helped me realize that and understand that those are some things that need to be addressed on a human relationship level in order for this curriculum change to actually happen and last for a long time. So I really do see curriculum much more as a fluid rather than just a solid group collection of information that now needs to be passed on. And I really feel like, I don't know, not to get too floofy on it, but it does have breath and it's got a life of its own, and we kind of need to nurture that life and help it grow and evolve as we help our teachers grow and evolve in the same way. So, kind of a long-winded answer there, but that's kind of how I see curriculum now, is much more fluid, and that a lot of that is thanks to that collaboration piece. The creativity that was talked about obviously really stood out to me. There were a lot of concepts that moved it from something very rigid to something much more movement and fluid. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciated these modules. Kind of sad to be done doing them actually, but I've learned a lot. I think I have a lot to take away, and I love that this is coming into August because I'm kind of pumped up now for the school year to start again. So thank you very much for a wonderful class. This has been a lot of really, really great information. Thanks again.